Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. Get everything you need to the cloud. It is tax season. You probably need to start scanning a bunch of documents. I did that on my Kyocera over the weekend. So
Same.
Everything getting prepared for tax time. And Kyocera makes it easy for you with their print, scan, document management. So again, hit them up, copiers-plus.com. Tim Healy, NC State IcePack coach, is going to join us in a little bit to talk about
We're gonna wax philosophical, aren't we?
We're going to get very philosophical about the state of hockey, get into a little bit of the, hey, soccer, why can't you do this? And also the impacts on, ratings about the NHL and NHL owners not wanting this best on best because they have the investment. They're the one that pays the players. But there is something that I think all of us can agree on is that if you're looking at this from a straight numbers perspective, a ratings go up perspective, then you're missing the point. And there is a larger point being made by what the women have been able to do with hockey and what the men accomplished on Sunday morning over Canada. So we'll talk about that with Tim Healy and some other amusing things that I found from the gold medal game on Sunday morning, which, by the way, 8:10 in the morning, hockey. First and foremost, I feel like 4 seasons of travel hockey prepared me for that moment. Like, an important hockey game at 8 o'clock in the morning, piece of cake. And I don't have to be at the rink, even easier. But 8:10 in the morning, international important gold medal hockey has continued to radicalize me about more sporting events happening at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning. Can we get more of that?
Please.
Is that an original idea? But I'm only even more emboldened by the fact that maybe the NHL should look into 10 a.m. hockey on NFL Sundays.
Ooh.
I'm just saying.
Hey.
You want to put an original 6 matchup at 10 a.m.? Do it. Because I'll watch it. I'm more inclined to watch it at 10 a.m. on a Sunday than I am anything else. But anyway, we'll get into the hockey stuff a little bit later on. Let's actually start with hoops, because it was also a pretty big weekend in hoops as well. Carolina gets Henry Vesar back, and they went back and forth with Syracuse for most of the game, but they had a very crucial turning point that turned things around for them. And now we all just kind of wait and see with how healthy Henry Vesar is tonight against Louisville. How much longer are we going to have to wait for Caleb Wilson to come back and everything else? And of course, the big marquee matchup, Duke, Michigan, in a game that I wish more top-level basketball programs would do this time of the year, where you're learning a hell of a lot more about these basketball teams in February in neutral site non-conference games than I am at a Champions Classic back in November. And we'll talk to Patrick Stevens about some of the bracket implications of this, but I can't say definitively after Saturday's game that the National Player of the Year discussion is over. Can we definitively say that now?
No doubt.
It is over. Give it to Cameron Boozer, who has been a model of consistency all damn year. And also credit to John Shire. We spend a lot of time talking about the rare and we discussed this after the Carolina win, when Duke found themselves in crunch time and
Carolina
coming up.
Loss.
The Carolina
they
win.
lost to Carolina.
I'm giving Carolina credit for winning.
Yeah.
But in the Duke loss portion of this, it happens so rarely that we want to find deeper meaning in late game situations for John Shire, Cam Boozer, etc. I think we could all agree that in that situation against Carolina, the shot just didn't go down. It's a clean look. Shot didn't go down. It happens. But one thing that has been abundantly clear from Duke this season, this particular group, you are going to play the way they want to play. And it's up to you if you can get over on that. And they did a really good job against Michigan, getting them not to play their game, taking the transition out, dominating them on the boards, and having Elliot Cadeau go, hey, you wanna forget how to shoot again like you did when you were at Carolina? Cool. Let's do that again. And they come out with a very, very big win, playing exactly the way that Duke wants to play. Defensively, half-court rebounding, and overcoming a lot of their deficiencies that we know they have. Guard play, that sort of thing. They're not the best shooting team, but you don't have to be when you force everybody to play the way you want to play.
Yeah, it was a super impressive performance by Duke against a team that's, quite frankly, a bad matchup for them in Michigan. So I'm going to make this easy. I'm going to start with Michigan. I thought when you go back and you look earlier in the season, Michigan peaked in November. That's fine.
Okay.
They're still a talented team. But in those November and December wins, they were murder balling teams. Okay. So number one with Michigan, I thought they were tight in this game. I thought they had the tight butt. I thought they were full PNC. Marcus Page is in the building, tight butt. I thought they were not prepared for the moment. They weren't ready for the moment. Emblematic of that was the way that Cadeau played. He looked like the opposite of a bull when they see red. He looked like he was scared. He was shook. He was Sam Darnold at the Meadowlands with the Patriots on the other side of the field. He was seeing ghosts when Duke walked into the building. Yeah. And I'm not trying to pin this loss on him. What I'm saying here is he needed to be bigger in the moment. He needed to shepherd his teammates through this. Hey, this is Duke. This is how they play. This is how we're going to beat them. He didn't do that. So that's a failure on his part, regardless of his shooting performance and the missed layup. Okay. He needed to have his teammates ready to play against an opponent that he was familiar with. Yeah. That's the Michigan side. Foul trouble hurt them early, obviously. But ultimately, they have three bigs. Only one was in foul trouble. They got out-rebounded 41-28. John said this after the game. Duke was the tougher team.
Yes.
I mean, the game was in the 60s. Duke was the tougher team, bottom line. So I think that's the Michigan portion of this where they went wrong. Okay. Now, let's go to the things that will help Duke coming out of this game. You handled the game pressure. That was big. Because I think this game meant more to Duke than it did to Michigan.
Agree.
Okay. They handled the game pressure. That's a good thing. We have not seen them play without Boozer for a significant stretch other than the first half against Carolina. In the first half against Carolina, they were in control. So to be able to survive in the second half when the other team's making a charge with Boozer on the bench with the foul trouble, that was huge for them. Another one, they closed out this game from in front. And I get it. John said this as well. We can't be undefeated. We can't win every game. Right. But in the games that have been close, and I think this is what's working against Duke, the last two that have been close, in most people's opinion, were Texas Tech that you lost and Carolina that you lost. Yes. In both games, you had a double-digit lead. Yeah. So you have to protect from in front. They did that as well. Last part that I'll say about Duke, well, from my main takeaway, the next time they're in that building is in Washington, D.C., is the regionals.
Yeah.
I promise you I'm not bringing this up because of who I am. I'm just telling you the last time they were there, they lost to NC State. That was the last time they were there. Now it's different players, all those things. But you walk into the building now.
Yeah, they have no. Yeah.
But you walk into that building now and you're like, we own this fucking place. And you're on your way to the Final Four. So the T. Martin prophecy is nearly fulfilled. I'm just telling you people right now, the 98 Vols energy is off the charts.
Yeah.
One more note from this game, because we've been asking all year. When will we see the rule of three kick in for Duke? When will we see not just Boozer, not just Evans, but Boozer, Evans, and Caleb Foster?
Foster had a good,
Foster was very good in this game. Very steady. He was the opposite of Cadeau.
Yes.
He was steady. He contributed. He was smart.
You're not asking Caleb Foster to be otherworldly.
Nope.
What you're asking him to do is to be a steady presence and go to the basket, which is what he did.
And defend and rebound and be smart.
Yes.
Do all of those things. This is now the fifth time this year that Boozer, Foster, and Evans have scored in double figures for Duke. Fifth time. They're 5-0. In those games. Michigan, Pitt, Louisville, Florida State, Georgia Tech. All of those games other than, the Michigan, Florida State, and Georgia Tech were all single-digit games.
Yeah.
So you're seeing what Duke's fastball looks like. So this recalibrates, in my opinion, how everyone looks at Duke. And they won a game against a team that has been the metric darling this whole season.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you're better than Arizona and Houston suddenly. That doesn't mean you don't want to play them. It just means your resume right now is better than anyone else's.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in a position, if you even lose just once or even twice the rest of the way, you're the number one overall seed in this tournament.
I've said this a lot this year in talking about Duke. I've used the phrase meat and potatoes a lot for Duke. And this is not last year where you have to watch Cooper Flag. You got to watch Con Knipple. You're looking for the flash. You're looking for the domination. You're looking for an uber talented group, et cetera, right? Cam Boozer is not going to be the guy who is getting all of the attention. He's not AJ DeBansta. He is not Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson, despite all the drama that's going on at Kansas, my guess is he'll probably go overall number 1 in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, Peterson's playing his way out of it, but
I mean, we'll see. I was going to say we'll see about that. I think there's some contention.
They'll go 1-2.
Yeah, in that, and then where's Cam going? 3, 4?
Maybe 4. I think Wilson probably goes before him.
Okay.
Somebody might fall in love with Acuff.
Probably. But that's the NBA. Those are NBA prospects. That's a completely different thing. Let's talk about college basketball. And I ask you, who has done a better job night in, night out, affecting, we talk about winning plays all the time. Who has done a better job at creating winning plays than Cam Boozer this season? You cannot find one. He has been that guy all year.
And this was an extremely difficult matchup for him.
Yes.
Because even the guys doing the game, even Billis was like, we haven't seen Boozer have to contend with this type of front line yet.
And yet, he steps up to the moment.
The best player on the floor.
Every single time. And that's why I don't get too worked up with those end of game situations. To your point, if there is a valid criticism about Duke and Shire, it's you had those leads and you watched them go away. That's the bigger problem. It's not the end of the game situation. The end of the game situation is pretty easy to figure out. This is the best player on the floor. Well, we're going to have the best player on the floor try to win the game. And again, it gets back to that Carolina game, what they lost. You had a clean look at it. It just didn't go in. And while I did make fun of John Shire last week a little bit for like showing like, yes, the way you handled that loss and the whole court storming thing showed you deep down, man, you really hate losing. And who doesn't? All competitors hate losing. It's just interesting in how it presents itself. But the one thing that John Shire has consistently done well since he's been at Duke, having a level head beyond that and saying, all right, man, we're still going to go back to that. I'm still going to put my trust in you to go back out there and try to win this game. And again, Cam Boozer was in that situation again, and Cam Boozer made the winning plays.
I thought what was super important here for John, and again, he was bristling slightly in the post game about, hey, we that's a false narrative that we can't close out games. Okay, just take some deep breaths on this one, right?
I know.
Like,
but I don't blame him because when you don't lose that often, this is the thing that people are going to bring up. I get where he's coming from.
I totally get that.
Yeah,
but to your point, the Houston loss in the Final Four last year and the Carolina loss this year were not lost on the final possession. They were lost by not composing your team and calling timeout and settling them down and saying, hey, when you still had a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 5 point lead.
Yeah.
So what did they do against Michigan on Saturday? And I saw this whole breakdown. It wasn't originally my idea, but there was a play where Michigan, most of the game was switching on defense. And then by the end of the game, by the 3 or 4 minute mark, Michigan stopped switching. John called a timeout. They ran an out of bounds play because they weren't switching. So that meant Boozer comes up, sets a high screen, and it leaves Isaiah Evans open for an alley-oop. And that's where the game was won right there. And that's where your coaching kind of kicks in and the muscle memory. And they've talked a lot this season about end game preparation and going through all of these things. The truth of the matter is their 2 losses to Texas Tech and Carolina this season were both similar to that Houston loss last year. So people are going to judge you and look at you by these losses. But now you're starting to stack more of these close wins. You go back to Michigan State. You've got Florida. You've got Arkansas. You've got Michigan now. You've got 4 examples to go to your team and say, hey, let's calm down a little bit. Let's compose ourselves. Let's run our stuff. Let's get a basket. Let's get out of here. Let's win. And to your point, it's not the sexiest thing. And this is not a sexy team.
They're not.
This is not a war machine.
No.
But I go back to our conversation with John in Charlotte when we said 99, arguably Mike's best team. Didn't win. But you got one back in 10. The basketball gods paid him back in 10. Okay. John might not have to wait the 11 years to get his back.
We'll see.
Because last year is going to go down as his best team. I'm telling you, it's going to go down as his best team.
If you want me to make a bet,
trajectory that Kahn and Cooper are on right now in the NBA,
we're going to look back.
People are going to look back and be like, "Oh my God, they were on the same team in college. Oh my God, what happened?"
Yes,
and you're going to go back and you're going to watch the meltdown against Houston. Okay,
if you asked me to put money, a futures bet on when John Shire's college career is over as a head coach, which of his Duke squads would be considered his best Duke squad? I agree with you.
Yeah.
Last year's team will be viewed as top to bottom his best Duke squad. But what have we talked about? We always forget like all the best teams always win. Doesn't work out that way.
No.
Does not work out that way.
And you don't always get it back.
And what do you
Roy
like
at Kansas.
What do you like to say? Bracket luck is real?
Oh, man.
Bracket luck is real. I was looking at KenPom this morning, and because everybody's back in action this week. We got North Carolina, Louisville tonight.
Yeah.
NC State.
Wait. Carolina won on Saturday.
Yes.
So, but Vesser played. Does it count?
Yeah, it counts.
And this one counts.
This one counts.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
counts.
when they win, it counts.
Yes.
But when they lose, it doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
I got it.
No, it doesn't count. But Vesser played though.
That's true.
And they look like, look at that. You had the energy and you came back and you actually had some fight. Hey.
Good call.
Maybe do that again tonight against Louisville, because you said this last week, and this is where the portion of Carolina's schedule gets interesting, right? You should beat Syracuse.
Yeah, no, you should beat with me and you playing. Yeah.
All right. And it required a spurt there to make it happen, like to just end the discussion. Totally got that. But now we get into the curious part of Carolina's schedule without Caleb Wilson. With Louisville tonight, a feisty Virginia Tech team, a Clemson squad that I don't know what's going on there. And then, of course, you go to Cameron Indoor, where they're going to be fired up to beat you before you go to ACC play. Of these 4 games, how many do you see them winning without Caleb Wilson? I think I'm speculating here. Speculation on my part. I think they're only going to have to go 3 of these 4 without Caleb Wilson. Caleb Wilson will make a return to the court for the Duke game. So Louisville, Virginia Tech, Clemson, without Caleb Wilson, how many of these are they winning?
They should go 2-1. They should.
I agree. I think they lose tonight, but beat Virginia Tech and Clemson.
Agree.
That's my call.
Agree. Especially with Vesser.
Now, what kind of Caleb Wilson are we going to get when he comes back? That remains to be seen. Okay. And then the other ACC note before we bring on Patrick Stevens, I'm looking at NC State currently sitting at 3rd in ACC play with a return to action tomorrow against Virginia.
Against my favorite ACC team.
Yes. I can't wait to hear the strays Virginia catches on today's podcast. They're not in the clear yet with their remaining games.
The Wolves?
Of getting the double bye. They're not in the clear yet.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm looking at this
work to be done.
I'm looking at this from double bye perspective with Virginia, Notre Dame, Duke, and then Stanford. Seeing that Duke game on March 2nd, let's bring this all home before we bring on Patrick Stevens. Okay. So we'll be doing an after dark on March 2nd. Shout out to our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. Okay. Chris and the crew out there, they bring you the after darks. And you can call Chris right now at 919-980-9815. It's a very Junior Canes family kind of day today. Chris, shout out to Benny, right? Shout out to the 13U Black team. All part of that. Chris, Nico, they're going to handle your business when it comes to blinds. So check them out, 919-980-9815, bloominblinds.com. And we'll be doing an after dark from Lenovo Monday night, March 2nd, thanks to our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. If you're Duke... To bring out the 98 Vols action here. If you're Duke, do you want to win that game? Is John Shire a student of history? Do you want to win that game? This is going to come up again. This is going to come up again on like next Monday when we get around to this. But I feel like we should just go ahead and call our shot now as we're looking at the last 4 games for just about everybody at ACC play.
Well, let's marry all of my Duke theories at once. And I'll squeeze one more in there for you.
Okay.
And I'll do that at the end. If you're Duke, do you want to win in Raleigh?
Yeah.
I say no.
Okay.
For this very specific reason. In 1991, Duke goes to Raleigh, goes to Reynolds Coliseum, as they often did, lost to Jim Valvano. However, the season ends in Indianapolis in the Final Four with their first national championship. Fast forward, 2010, they go over to PNC Arena. It's Tracy Smith's 21st birthday. They lose to Tracy Smith and Sidney Lowe in Raleigh. However, the season ends in Indianapolis with a national championship, a game that you were at.
I was there.
Where they beat Butler.
Somehow, somewhere they did it.
That
shot didn't go in.
That was the marker.
That was it.
That was the marker with the basketball guys. 2015. The butt slap.
Oh, man.
Duke comes to Raleigh. They lose.
That was the butt slap game?
They lose.
Oh, no.
Mark Godfrey gets the famous butt slap. The season ends in Indianapolis with a national championship over Wisconsin.
Yeah.
2026. Fast forward.
Mm-hmm.
Duke comes to Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens. But the season ends in Indianapolis in the Final Four. The national champion. Now, one last thing watching that game, though, from Saturday, because Carlos Boozer was courtside.
Yeah.
You realize Carlos Boozer won a national championship 2001. That was in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, yes.
The team
but it's a police.
The team that they beat. Arizona. Write it down right now. Duke, Arizona, national championship, 26.
So I was there for 2 of the 3 Indianapolis.
Yeah, 10 and 15.
10 and 15. Do I reschedule my trip?
You might need to be there.
Do I need to be back in Indianapolis for a national championship game? Do I need to be there for that?
Mind you, 91 was case first.
That's right.
So case first in Indianapolis, the history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. John's first, Indianapolis.
Is Indianapolis the equivalent to New Orleans for Carolina?
Well, it would need to be.
Makes you think.
Well, no, Roy's first was in St. Louis. That was the river.
That's right.
The river runs through it.
That's right. This is just things to make you think. Just think. Hey, and I know there are people over at Duke that listen to this podcast. Just something to consider about Monday. You gotta look at the long game.
And it's a red team,
right? So just something to consider in the long game here. Like maybe it's not so bad
now
if we go to Raleigh and lose.
Fair enough. In 92 and 01, they did beat State. Fair enough.
The point. It wasn't in Indianapolis though, was it?
No, it's Minneapolis.
Okay,
both Minneapolis.
As long as it's a police, but Indianapolis, this is key. All right, we talked about the games. Let's talk about the implications of those games. And our OG Media senior bracketologist, Patrick Stevens, joining us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, where you can sell your car. I'm at a great customer service. They help Joe out find that Equinox, the Equinox of his dreams. They'll buy your car too. So head on over to Heister Automotive Group, and they will help you out. Patrick, what's going on, man?
Fellas, good to check in again with you this week.
All right, I lied. Rather than talking about the implications of the Duke win and some other ACC matters from over the weekend, let's actually start from the beginning of Saturday, where we got the top 16 teams in the NCAA bracket. They do this look in. It's not quite to the level of ridiculousness of the college football playoff show, right? But it gives you an idea of what the committee is thinking right now by ranking 1 through 16, their top 16 teams. What was your immediate takeaway from the committee's look-in?
Was intrigued that Iowa State was the last of the 1 seeds. Now, they probably aren't now that Iowa State has lost to BYU. Also was kind of surprised Texas Tech was 13th rather than closer to like 16th or even not even in the top 16 after losing JT Toppin to injury. But I thought the teams were generally the right ones. Might have argued, maybe, Kansas a spot lower, maybe Nebraska a couple spots higher. But the reality is that look-in is nice, and within 12 hours, you had to shuffle the deck again just based on all the results, starting at the very top.
Right. And obviously the way Duke handled Michigan will not only change the conversation around what the bracket is going to look like, I think it also changes how we look at national title contenders between now and we actually get to the NCAA tournament. That's what I love about these late season non-conference games. And that's actually where I wanted to start for you. One of the things that I've been banging on the last couple of years is that all these non-conference games happening in November and December, knowing what we know about college basketball, you're not really getting a true sense of what those teams are then. They're great non-conference games. They're great conference conversation starters, but I'm not going to judge Carolina and Duke or whoever based on a high-profile non-conference game from the Champions Classic and then have that follow them the rest of the year. I'm going to learn more about these teams in situations like we saw between Duke and Michigan. And I got to imagine that clearly affects how the committee is going to think about some of these things based on games like that.
Yeah, I would agree that you're not picking up nearly as much from early season games now as you might have 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which is one of the reasons why I'm so happy to see more of these intersectional games.
Yeah.
Although I guess intersectional might not be the right word these days because so many leagues are intersectional. But you had Louisville Baylor, which on paper should have been good coming into the season. Baylor obviously didn't hold up its end of the bargain. Virginia, Ohio State, even a nifty little mid-major game, Memphis, Utah State, a couple weekends ago was in there. So, Duke, Michigan, obviously the jewel of them all. And I think you know much more about those teams in game 25 than you do in game 5. And we have a better sense of it. And I think it would be great if that ACC SEC challenge got moved to where the SEC Big 12 challenge was held for so many years, which was the end of January. How great would that be to have those games that people get somewhat excited for in December, but are probably going to get more excited for at the end of the month, at the end of January, and get a better sense of how do these teams stack up against each other.
I got scolded for tweeting that I had suggested that the ACC SEC challenge be played that weekend in February.
Agree.
Because I did beg Jim Phillips. I did beg Paul Brazo. One of them texted me. It was like, basically like, fuck off. And I was like, you can guess which one it was.
Yeah.
Were you surprised Virginia was in the top 16? I am slightly.
No, I didn't think that.
All of Virginia fans out there that I think your team is completely fucking fraudulent, but
he's not there anymore.
I know, but who have they exactly? Tell me who they've beaten this year. State.
Here's what Virginia has done. They are 8-1 on the road.
Okay.
They've won at Louisville. They've won at NC State.
Louisville with no Mikal Brown, right?
With no Mikal Brown. Okay. At NC State, at SMU, at Texas. That's pretty good. They're 24-3. The only remotely terrible thing that they've done all season was they lost a neutral site game to Butler, who was playing well at that point and really isn't right now. And when you look at their metrics, and I don't think they've changed too much since late last week, they're top 16 in all the result-based metrics, 15th in the net. So I have no problems with them being a team that you look at and say, okay, you're the last or next to last number 4 seed. Enjoy your ticket out west.
That was for my Virginia fans out there.
Alan is calling the sports phone right now.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Let's get to your projections now, which of course you can find at oviesandgiglio.com. Our graphic, I feel like, has been finalized.
I think so.
Signed off on this. Okay.
Have we done it?
Well, yeah, it just needs to be sent over to the right people.
Okay.
But I'm excited about our seeded territory bracket. You got 8 teams from the ACC in this week. I am slightly surprised at Clemson. Speaking of teams that seem to be reeling right now, what makes you want to include the Tigers in this field?
That lost to Wake Forest.
No, they've lost 4 in a row.
But the Wake Forest one was definitely the oof, especially given the year that Wake Forest is having.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a team that's in the top 40 in all but one of the team sheet metrics. They haven't done anything bad. No quad 3 or quad 4 losses. You can argue the worst thing they've done was actually the Florida State loss at home on Saturday. So obviously could really stand to add a couple more higher end victories. The best victory they have is a neutral site defeat at Georgia, but they've also gotten SMU. They've also gotten Miami.
Miami's helping them right now.
Miami's helping them right now. Listen, there's no doubt that they need to play better than they have the last 2 weeks, but they built up enough that you're just not going to plummet out of the field from being like a 6 seed in a span of 2 weeks.
They're getting close to your DEFCON 2 scenario, though, by losing 4 in a row. Like they got to 24, and they were like, I hear the words coming out of your mouth, like, unless there's the nuclear option.
Yes, if we're sitting here saying, well, if San Francisco wins the WCC and Miami, Ohio loses in its conference tournament, and St. Louis loses, yes, we can sit here and we'll add that. We're going to add that element to the bracket projections here once the conference tournaments start. But for now, we'll avoid trying to dive too deeply into everything that could possibly go wrong, the nightmare cataclysmic scenarios that I know you like to sort of poke and prod on.
Your black swan.
I think it's super important for NC State. Excuse me. I think it's super important for NC State to avoid the 8-9 game. What do you think NC State has to do to get out of that playing a 1 in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the moment they'd be a 7 seed. So, I mean, I think at this stage you want to avoid doing things you shouldn't do. And let's face it, that means you beat Notre Dame on the road and you beat Stanford. And you probably need to throw at least one more, if not 2 more wins in there. I don't see a loss at Virginia or a home loss to Duke being something that's too punitive. But if you're NC State, you obviously want to get as much as you can. And a 3-1 finish and maybe a split in the ACC tournament probably staves off having to avoid an 8-9 scenario in the NCAA tournament.
All right. You could check out all these brackets, get a little bit more nitty-gritty over at our website, oviesandgiglio.com. It'll be at the top. Get your bracket projections. Not only will we have the seeded territory graphic ready to go, we'll also have a fun little bumper for you the next time you're on. With the seeded territory. I don't know. Maybe I can get Brian to do a seeded territory theme song.
Ooh,
right?
Like that.
Think we can make that happen? I'll text Brian, see if we can get something over from Nice Price to actually have like a theme song for Patrick with bobbleheads and everything else.
That sounds like that definitely does not sound like the need department here.
Patrick, I'm here to tell you right now, this is not the Washington Post. We do things a little bit differently here. Also, speaking of bobbleheads, before we say goodbye, what do we have today from the collection?
We have Jack the Bulldog from Georgetown. See the Georgetown logo on the bottom of the skateboard?
On a skateboard, no less. Skateboard. I love that.
The last Jack the Bulldog, maybe it's 2 Jack the Bulldogs ago now, had a little thing where they sent him out on a skateboard. The last one they put in a remote control car and drove him around.
No, they didn't. They put him in a remote control car?
Yes. Yes.
Tell me you've never been to a Georgetown home game on campus before.
No, I've never been to a Georgetown home game.
And now it's not like a tiny like Matchbox car or anything. Okay. Like, I mean, it's actually like if he fit comfortably inside the car. The current one that they have, they just kind of walk him out. Like I think it's just it's like, here he is. It's at the under 4 of the first half. It's Jack the Bulldog, and everybody cheers and all that, and then he walks back out. So,
nah, man, we need more action. We need more skate. We need skateboards. We need little tight vehicles. Let's go. Come on, Jack. Let's go. Let's step it up. All right.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
Actually, I lied, Patrick. We're not going to say goodbye to you just yet because I just got this into the OG Sports phone via text 919. I think you guys are doing bracketology wrong. It's not what seed NC State ends up as. I need a daily update from Patrick on the odds of a Santa Clara first round matchup. We need Will Wade versus Herb Sendek. That's what we need, Patrick.
That's very good. And by the way, Santa Clara, the last team in the field in this projection. So getting there, right? Like that could be, Santa Clara finishes here. They get St. Mary's this week. Big game for the Broncos. If they could get themselves up to the 10 line, that could be something that happens.
All right.
Or it could be, how about this scenario? NC State climbs up to the 6th seed and gets a play-in winner. And so you're sitting there as an NC State fan anticipating, do you get Herb or do you get whoever Santa Clara is playing?
God.
Imagine being that invested in the play-in result.
Wow, what a well, who was the one who did the hello? Was it Hayes Permar who did the hello?
Yeah.
God, can you imagine Herb just peeking through the sideboards just one last time?
The sideboards.
Like Johnny,
No, he's going to be at the headboard of a Will Wade bag going, hey, what's going on over here? Put daytime compartments, chopping wood, I see what's up.
It's what would it be, Patrick? 168th of the NCAA tournament, no more. No less.
167th. 167 games.
Okay. 167th of the NCAA tournament.
On that note, now we're done. Patrick Stevens, check out the brackets over at oviesandgiglio.com. I texted Brian, we're going to have some sort of seeded territory jingle for the next time.
There's definitely some goodbye, my Coney Island baby in there somewhere.
You want a barbershop quartet for Patrick with all his bobbleheads? All right, Patrick. We'll talk to you on Thursday, man.
Awesome, fellas. Take care.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean, clean with Enovana.
So I pulled up the video of the bulldog that Patrick was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mute it here because I don't need the actual sound. But there's the bulldog, and then they put him in a little a little Hummer. No, that's like a Land Rover. Hold on a second. It's like a little it's a little Land Rover.
That's awesome. Who knew?
I absolutely love that.
Who knew?
I love that. Hey, real quick, let's go to the OG Sports Phone. We were talking about Elliot Cadeau earlier.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
This came in from a 704.
Elliot fucking Cadeau. Forever grateful.
Well,
why would you be forever grateful?
If you're a Duke fan, you're probably very forever grateful for Elliot Cadeau,
okay.
which gets us to the Forever Grateful collection is finally out.
We did it.
It's there. Mike landed the plane. Head on over to the OG.shop. That's the OG.shop, and it'll take you to our secret stash. And we've got the whole collection. We got a Deke skeleton. We got a wolf and a ram bear. We got a Duke skeleton. We got a pirate skeleton. And then I really think Mikey P knocked it out of the park with the back.
Yeah.
With the steal your face. Look at that. Positive vibes only, 5 stars, incorporating the 3 colors there. I absolutely love that. So head on. He also has tie-dye collection. So you can get like the tie-dye Deke, the tie-dye pirate. I mean, this is just fantastic stuff. All here at the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. So big thanks to Mikey P. Speaking of websites, we got Ovies and Giglio. As we mentioned, that's where you can get Patrick's Bracketology. You can also get tickets for our bracket night. Yeah. It's OG Light Bracket Night at Longleaf Swine. You can join us, Mia O'Brien and Mitch Northam from the Women's Basketball Podcast, which you can watch right here on this YouTube channel. You get dinner, you get a pint of OG Light, and you get to hang out with us, dessert too. And you get to hang out with us talking about brackets while we do a show, all at Longleaf Swine in downtown Raleigh. It's $49, $2 handling fee, processing fee, $51. Again, that gets you barbecue, dessert, a pint of OG Light, and you get to hang out with us on March 16th. Are you okay over there?
And at the risk of having a meeting.
Oh boy, are we having a meeting?
Having a meeting.
Just to be clear, the restaurant it's a Monday. They're not normally open on Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an event for us. And I get sometimes there might be some hesitation, like, $51, but you are getting food, you're getting a beer, you're getting dessert, and you're getting bracket advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what you might be thinking. Why do I need your bracket advice? But here's the rub. If you go the other way, if you go the other way, you might just win too. So that's a real thing.
It's like, wait, Giglio's doing what now? No, we don't want that.
I don't trust you.
We don't.
Hey, if I'm looking for the runner-up, Giglio, I'll take your advice, and you should.
Yes, that's usually a good call there. So anyway, go to oviesandgiglio.com, and you can find tickets to OG Light Bracket Night. Again, over at oviesandgiglio.com. And then, of course, we got birthdays too, right? We got May 2nd. That's our birthday bash at Shady's, which big shouts to Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law, locations across the triangle, across North Carolina, wh.lawyer for all your legal needs, personal, business, legal needs. Again, that's wh.lawyer. But on May 2nd, we are doing the Jonathan Rand wedding pregame / OG third birthday bash. And speaking of meetings, we're having a meeting. I went to the Enloe Indoor Percussion Disco Bingo last night.
How'd that go?
To raise money for Enloe Indoor Percussion. We are headed to Dayton in April again. Destination Dayton is back.
We're back.
So we raised a lot of money. We've met our goals. Big shouts to Longleaf for offering up gift cards. Chip over at Lonnie Pool offered up a foursome of golf that was auctioned off.
Nice.
Also, our guys over at Two Roosters helped out as well. There was a sicko who bought the bottle of Malort and an OG beanie. Like, that was the true test of how much are you a sicko? Somebody actually got the Malort. Okay, somebody actually got the Malort. Now,
I hope you rewarded them with something else on the side.
The beanie.
Okay.
But I put a bid, and we're going to have a DJ for the birthday bash.
Oh, we are?
Shout out to Gio, DJ Gio, one of Caleb's buddies. He was auctioning off 2 hours of DJ Gio time.
I love it.
Gio is an amazing DJ. I'm not just saying that. That kid can match a beat with anything. He can mix anything. So we're going to get him for 2 hours at the birthday bash. And he'll do any style. So I was like, we're doing like a yacht rock thing for 2 hours. He's like, you can do a yacht rock thing for 2 hours if you want.
Yacht rock, rap.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Gio will find the way to
Country.
mix it.
Yeah.
He'll find a way to mix it. So through the auction, we now have a DJ
I love
for
it.
OG Birthday Bash number 3. Gio's going to be doing the thing.
Can't wait.
So I'm very excited about that. So we'll give you more details on the Birthday Bash as we get closer to it. Again, big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer being an OG corporate champion and helping us out and offering up Shady's once again for the Birthday Bash. And speaking of corporate champions, we want to welcome on Bailey's.
Ooh.
Bailey's is on as an official OG corporate champion. Head on over to baileybox.com. Bailey's Fine Jewelry. They have multiple locations. Village District is the one that I've always gone to. Shout out to Bailey's. That's where I bought Kelly's engagement ring and the wedding band and the replacement wedding band because my original one got lost in the ocean when I lost a lot of weight.
Whoa.
So now I'm like rocking
I didn't know that.
the tungsten deal.
Yeah.
So they've always had fantastic customer service. Bailey's has always had a particular place in my life. Because when I was a poor ass college student at NC State looking for an engagement ring, I got laughed out of one jewelry store, but not Bailey's. They said, let's make something work. And that's exactly what they did. So that's the kind of customer service you got. Now that customer service has extended itself. They've expanded. Now you've got the Fox and Bailey shop, which is right next door to the main building at Bailey's there in the Village District, which has watches, men's accessories. It's just a very cool vibe. They've completely transformed it into a very cool vibe. You're wondering like, wait a minute, you're talking about Bailey's, you're watching on YouTube and you see a record player in the back. They have the record player that I've been eyeballing for a very, very long time. It's this Ren Silva, like custom oak deal, like stereo cabinet that they have.
Are we going to make a trade?
I honestly am considering like, so, hey, Trey Bailey, hey, can we get that turntable instead? Because I really like that for my house. That would be fantastic. No, so the Fox and Bailey watch shop is fantastic. They got everything you need. I am a G-Shock guy. They got a whole collection of G-Shock and everything else, but that is at Bailey's Fine Jewelry.
Yeah, they're having a pre-owned luxury watch event, March 20th and 21st.
Mm-hmm.
That's at the Fox and Bailey shop. So they have a lot of things going on. Here's things I didn't know either. I'm fascinated since they provided the talking points. You know how great I am at these things.
I know you're fantastic at these things.
Okay. We got Raleigh. Okay, cool. Greenville. All right.
Yeah.
Rocky Mount, right?
Which is,
Cary. Okay. Charlotte.
Mhm.
That makes sense. I'm sorry. Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Appointment only.
Appointment only.
What? LA. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I love it. I love it. So for all of our listeners out in California, get an appointment in LA. we got some OG swag for you.
Hey, if you're out in California, because we know we have listeners out in California. If you're in that area and you show up to Bailey's and get the appointment, please let us know.
Yes.
Because that way
We
we're
got
like,
swag.
like we got swag for you. We'll make that work. But no, we're excited about Bailey's jumping on. And look, we've been talking about March. We're leading up to March. That is the big March event. March 20th and 21st, they're going to have that pre-owned luxury watch event. We all understand that in this day and age, 2026, you can tell the time just about any way. Your phone, Apple Watches, all that kind of stuff. So watches have become more of a statement piece.
I'll tell you who's into them. Youths.
Yes, they are.
20s and 30s.
Yes, they are, because they are statement pieces, and they got a fantastic collection at Fox and Bailey with that 2-day pre-owned luxury watch event, which is coming up on March 20th and 21st. We'll talk to Trey Bailey. He'll be in studio at some point here. We'll talk about this stuff.
So Trey's a Carolina fan.
Yes.
And we were trying to get him on last week,
Yes.
but our timing was slightly poor because it was after the state performance.
We'll get him
Yeah.
in studio.
We'll get
We'll get him in studio. So again, shout out to Bailey's. Go check them out. We got these watch events. Engagement season right around the corner, right? And of course, Mother's Day as well. Very important stuff. So check
All
out
good things,
baileybox.com. Baileybox.com. You're probably wondering, hey man, I love these ideas, but I'm not made of money. We understand that. That's why you go to millennium.com and you refinance.
We got a great way.
That's how you do it. All right. You're like, hey, Gordon, I got to buy this engagement ring. What do I do? Well, do we have an idea for you? No, look, all jokes aside, rates are up and down. You don't know where the economy's going and things like that. And it's really easy to fall for the trap of, well, I'll just pay a bunch of closing costs and I'll get my rate slightly lower and then I'll save money in the long run. It doesn't necessarily work that way. The math has to math for you. And the one thing that Miller Lending is going to do is make sure that the math is mathing and why it makes sense for you to refinance or to not refinance. So you got to start that conversation today. MillerLending.com, 919-447-3377. Again, that's MillerLending.com. You take that thing to close, you will get a gift basket from our friends at The Butcher's Market. Check out The Butcher's Market, thebutchersmarkets.com. Easy grab-and-go options as well. With the Canes coming back, you're looking to get into some tailgating. Hey, there's one there in Lake Boone Shopping Center. All you got to do is get a sandwich and then head on over to the rink, and you are good to go. So check them out at thebutchersmarkets.com. And, of course, our friend Matt Davis over at InsureGarner.com. State Farm Insurance, home and auto, saving money, but also financially planning as well. Let's say you are getting engaged. Let's say you are already married and you're looking at some financial goals, some retirement goals in the future. Maybe you want to buy a second home that you've been eyeballing, a mountain house or a beach house, something like that. How do I achieve those goals? Well, it starts with a conversation with our guy, Matt Davis, over at InsureGarner.com. Call him directly at 919-779-8277. So before we bring on Tim Healy, NC State IcePack coach, that gold medal game, and really just in general, both the men and the women's games between the U.S. and Canada were excellent watches, excellent views. It was a high-level hockey game yesterday, one that I understand what Connor McDavid said after it. Like, you watch that game, you tell me who the better team was.
Sure.
And you know what? He's right. Canada outskated and outplayed the U.S. and peppered them with shots, and they got goalied. And if you are a connoisseur of Carolina Hurricanes hockey, then yes, you watched that and you went, I've seen this before. We outplayed you. We outskated you. We had way more shots on net, and we still couldn't get over on you because the goalie played out of his mind. But that's hockey, and it's a one-off event. This is not a best of seven. You got to get them there. And I understand the Canadian aspect of this. This is your game. This is the first time you've lost to the U.S. best on best situation, I want to say, since the 1996 World Cup. Okay. And for the U.S. Olympic gold, first time since 1980, right? And I could understand why Nate McKinnon looked at that damn plushie while they were handing out the silver medals and said, why are you handing this to me?
A lot of people have had that reaction to the.
Why are you handing this to me?
Yeah.
I don't want to see this right now. This is the last thing I want to see. Although I have a thought that he's going to see this thing in his nightmares. Like it might be in the playoffs, and McKinnon, it's in a crucial sequence, a crucial shift, and he's just seeing that damn plushie. Like, not this again.
What a threesome that they started the overtime with. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I thought once it was going to 3-on-3, I was like,
Game over.
hey guys, if you don't win the faceoff,
Game over.
You are so fucked with McKinnon, McDavid, and McCarr.
So it's interesting.
Hell out of here.
It's interesting. And look, there's a lot of sequences in that game that Canada's going to want back. And, I kind of channeled my watching too much youth hockey over the last couple of years. And there was a sequence where they danced with the puck way too much in front of, it was a breakaway, and danced way too much in front of Hellebuck. And it's like, I mean, I've seen my 14-year-old kids do this. Like, stop dancing with the puck and freaking shoot it, man. Like, come on now. So there's a lot of sequences where they're just going to be haunted by it, just like the plushie's going to haunt him from here on out. But, and again, I say this not in the context of like, pure hockey knower here. Just like Canada is going to go through some second guessing of the makeup of their team, I don't really think that's it. I really think it's the U.S. team and the makeup of their squad and how they thought, if we're going to see Canada in a gold medal situation, what roster do we need that's going to help us get over? And it's going to be a little bit more defensive minded. And that's what we saw in this game. And that 5-on-3 was where they win the game, essentially, to give themselves a chance to continue to feed off of that sort of thing. And again, I'm not saying this is like pure hockey knower guy, but I can see where people who were nitpicking the makeup of the U.S. team and why you traded out some clear skill to go up against them, forward wise, there were some things that you have to make some conscious decisions about. And if it's a matter of, do I want to get in a track meet with Canada? No, it's kind of like what we talked about with Duke, right? We're going to make you play our game. All right. If we got to get into a track meet with you, then we might lose this game. And Michigan gets out in transition a lot. Well, we're not going to make that happen. You're going to have to play our game. And I thought there were elements of that in this game against Canada, where it was the USA saying to Canada, man, we cannot skate with you toe to toe. But I know what we can do. We can be tougher. We can be more defensive minded. We can come up with stops. And that's exactly what they did. And again, they had a goalie advantage over Bennington, straight up. And that paid off with the golden goal there at the end with Hughes.
No, I didn't think Bennington was bad. I mean,
he was fine.
Hellebuyck was outstanding. The 5-on-3 was like, if that was your first exposure to Macklin Celebrini, that kid's electric.
Yeah,
like it's just flowing through him.
Mm-hmm.
The skill, but obviously the U.S. better blue line, better goalie.
Yes.
Sometimes, there's two ways to win, right?
You can keep the other team from scoring more than you, which is exactly what because I got mad. I got mad at the U.S. in the semifinal game where they decided, no, it was in the quarterfinals. It was in the quarterfinals where they had a 1-0 lead and just decided we're shutting this thing down. And it worked for them. They didn't have to do that against Slovakia in the semifinal game. But in the quarterfinal game, that's exactly how they played. And you could see what exactly it was that they were ready to do against Canada, and it paid off.
And I'll say this. I know John Cooper, coach for Canada, said afterwards, 3-on-3 is not real hockey. Bullshit, man. And I get it. I wasn't born on the the Thunder Bay, Frozen Lakes, and all these other things.
He walked it back a little bit, but
that was awesome.
Yeah.
My only regret was it wasn't an Olympic sheet.
Yeah, it was like 3 feet shorter, right?
Like, could you imagine seeing those guys play 300? Like, we're talking about the best player. Like, this is crazy stuff that we're watching here. It's like whoever cooked up the 3-on-3 for the NHL, like they never had in their brain, we're going to see the 6 guys on the ice that we got to see. Like, holy smokes. I loved it. And it's so much better. We talk about soccer and some of the problems with soccer. I hate the penalty kicks in soccer. I hate the shootout in hockey.
Yeah, I don't
3-on-3. I mean, you're solving a lot of problems there by taking a guy off because there's going to be a goal. There's going to be space, and there's going to, I thought it was a really great way to decide the game, and obviously it didn't take that much time. And you're taking a little bit more tax off of these guys because one of the biggest concerns is you don't want injuries. Last thing you need is to play some sort of like quadruple overtime game.
Let's get this thing going.
And McKinnon and McCarr and name all the guys who you think are going to be in the finals are hurt, and it affects the NHL.
I thought the spectacle of it all was fantastic too. Yes, the rink was a little shorter. They did talk about this. It was a fast game. It was going to be a fast game regardless of the rink size. If it was an Olympic sheet, an NHL sheet, 3 feet shorter with a smaller neutral zone, I get all that stuff. It was going to be a fast game regardless. Number one. Number two, the energy in the building was always going to be electric, and that came through on the broadcast. And I thought Mike Tirico and the crew did a really, really good job. And I thought Tirico absolutely nailed the end of the game, right? And we'll talk about what this means going a little bit further here with Tim in a second. And then there's some other stuff about the game that's kind of bled over into today, like, Cash Patel looking like the saddest dad on a college campus trying to hang out with his kids' buddies at a tailgate. Like,
I feel very seen right now.
Like, that was so Giglio, it was not even funny. It's just like, if you want to see how sad it looks, well, just look at that, right? It's just like, come on, dude, get the fuck out of there. So there's like that. You got the call from the president and like unnecessary bullshit, like making jokes at the women's team's expense. Like, that's just bullshit. That's like unnecessary bullshit. But all of that stuff we get into on OG Business. Dimitri and I talk about that and some other matters of the intersection of, we want to keep things all sports, no politics, but in these situations, they absolutely bleed into each other, whether you like it or not. And we spent a good chunk of time talking about that on OG Business later today on the premium side of things. So head on over to our YouTube channel, click the join button. It's just $5. That entire podcast is on the paid side of things today. We're not doing any freebies. I'm just shouting it out that's where it is. It'll be on YouTube at some point later today or tomorrow if you want more of that discussion. For me, though, the discussion is more about what this means going forward, how the U.S. got here. What does this mean for, youth hockey development and everything else, and how USA Hockey in particular takes a hold of this more so than the NHL, because we know what this means for the NHL. Nothing. but there's a lot more at stake here than just the NHL's bottom line. Let's go to the let's go to the sports phone though, real quick.
As a frequent listener of the show, I hope for two things for next show for the OG. I better see Ovies Giglio dicked out in more red, white, and blue like I've never seen it before. I better see, Buffalo Bill style Giglio just freaking jumping off the top rope, breaking a table like he was at a Buffalo Bills game, fired up for America, red, white, and blue, decked out for the guys. This team is unbelievable. We, if I'm being honest, should have lost this game 5-1, 6-1. Canada's so freaking fast. They're unbelievable. It would just tell me everything about this podcast if I see the guys decked out in anything other than red, white, and blue. America, as Giglio likes to say. Just so proud of the team. They've done amazing. Praise God for these guys who love the country and did a great job. And, man, we should have got our asses beat. They are just so fast, so talented. But, hey, it only takes one. So, America for the gold. Finished in second place in the Olympics. So we broke a record for most gold medals. We're on the come up. America's on the come up. Lots to look forward to. So thankful for the podcast. Hope you guys are decked out in your red, white, and blue. Love the show. Love America. Go USA Hockey. Go America. And see you guys soon.
How about go Junior Canes? How about that? Junior Canes? Go Rowback, because we're always rocking our corporate champions. Go Rowback.
I did find the Johnny Gaudreau stuff touching.
Yeah,
Gaudreau. Yeah. That was and his son being there, like that was nice. That was cool.
That was cool
because you think about these teams, you think about these guys. They're on different NHL teams.
Yeah.
They have all this other stuff. But they do have this common thread of being in this system and being developed, and that part of it I think goes kind of unseen. So it's nice that they have the connection that they have, and of course losing Gaudreau and the tragedy that not this past off season but the one before. It was just really cool to see them honor his memory that way.
Let's go to the sports phone call 619.
Hey guys, just finished watching the USA somehow win the gold medal at the Olympics. Incredible game, incredible goalkeeping from both sides, goaltending, but kind of brings up the question. I'm not sure, so I figured I'd pose this irrelevant hypothetical to you guys. Do you think it would be good or bad for the Hurricanes if the Stanley Cup playoffs went to one-and-done games? Like, clearly Canada played better this entire game, but the Canes won. And we're going to talk more about this one game than we would a 7-game series between the two, I think. I think it just makes things more exciting, and it makes it more likely that a lesser team could win. Not necessarily even a lesser team, just like a evenly matched team being more physical when it counts instead of the entire game. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's better or worse? 1 game versus 7. Thanks.
Well, first off, let's not act like this was the miracle on ice. Okay, that's not what this was. This was best on best and validation for USA Hockey and the talent that's being developed in this country, and that can go toe to toe with Canada. There's there's a lot more parity now on the international stage and who plays in the NHL than there has ever been before. And again, a lot of that is the work done on the ground by USA Hockey and development and everything else that we'll talk about with Tim here in a second. So there's that. As far as, what's a better format? No. If you're actually trying to determine a champion, we all recognize that a best of series is how you actually determine a champion and not a one-off situation. I get why in these tournaments they have to be one-offs. That's the name of the game. And, that's why I kind of not roll my eyes at Connor McDavid. You're going to cope the way you're going to cope. And I can't imagine what it's like to be that dude, to be one of the best in the world. And both in the Stanley Cup twice, and now this on the world stage, you've come up, quote unquote, short, right? Yeah. With a Kachuk on the other side, of course. So I get his frustration by saying, you watched it, who was the better team? He's not wrong, but this is not a 7-game series. And I don't want to go full miracle on ice here because that's been, time and time again been brought up. It's like, it doesn't matter if they beat you 99 times out of 10, right? It matters in this game out of 100. Sorry.
He was cooking.
Just let me cook. Okay? Just let me cook.
Jacob Slavin, Earth's mightiest defender, the Lord's Avenger, is a gold medalist! USA, USA, USA. Let's bring that winning energy back to the Canes, and let's keep Seth Jarvis hungry to go after the cup.
Yeah, we got gold medal for Slavin.
Man, I really
Silver for Jarvis.
I fell down
bronze
low.
for Fishy.
The pregame graphic from the Canes Instagram, the Civil War one, that's top level, off the charts. Really, really good. It was for my Marvel fans out there, because I can always remember the order and everything.
Of course,
it was the face-off poster of Captain America and Iron Man. And it was
it was Aho Jarvis and Slavin.
Slavin. That was beautiful.
It was good stuff.
Really, really.
It was good stuff. Speaking of Jacob Slavin, hey,
go get a Slavin Sunday.
That Slavin Sunday is going to taste even better now, right? Even better. What is it? He's the second gold medalist now in Canes franchise history, because Eric Stahl got it back, in 2010?
Okay.
So there you go. I believe I have that math right. Slavin's the second gold medalist now for the Carolina Hurricanes, with Stahl having done it back in 2010. So big shouts to the Canes participants. And they'll be back, Thursday night, which means the Slavin Sunday.
2010.
Always available. Slavin Sunday, always available. It's going to taste even better with that gold medal. Go to tworoosters.com. You can get the Slavin Sunday. Also, the Lovers Month is wrapping up. So peanut butter lovers, chocolate lovers, all that kind of stuff. It's all going right now at Two Roosters. So have at it. Go to tworoosters.com. All right, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is the head coach of the NC State IcePack. He is Tim Healy. Tim, up. If you're watching on YouTube, I see it. Is that the Governor's Cup behind you right now?
That is the Governor's Cup, live and well. Just came back from the engraver, to get the 7-0. And next to it, I have to give a shout out to my U12 girls team. That is the NGHL U12 National Girls Hockey League Cup. Next to that, that also just came back with the engraver with all the girls' names on it to take it out to Garner tonight. So yeah, it's been a good year.
Let's say combine that with the U.S. women winning gold again, and then the men finally breaking through over Canada and winning gold yesterday. What a hell of a weekend, man.
It is. We were just talking about this too. The U.S. men and women are now the first country to hold the IHF Men and Women's World Championships at the same time and the gold medals at the same time. So that is as a guy who has on both sides of the equation for men's and women's, it was certainly a great week.
So what I'm hearing you say is that while hockey might not have been invented in this country, it's officially our pastime now. Is that what you're telling me?
Just might be. We're probably even producing the best syrup in the world right now over Ontario and Quebec, if the way things are going.
Joe should be more hungover today, is what you're saying, is what you're telling me.
Joe, I'm disappointed in you right now. I wanted the post-Super Bowl effect. I wanted you in the fetal position on the floor. You're just not treating me with the same respect that you treated our former governor and, whole future senator. So, a little disappointed in that one, Joe. Despite on Facebook,
come on, Joe.
Red Storm throwback logo, which you and I both agreed on, should have been an old Italian guy in a sweater.
Yes. I had no idea what that fake Firebird thing was that they put on the court. I was like, this is ridiculous. No. If I had
at least made it look like the old Redman logo, Redman. They didn't even try.
Something. No, I am super disappointed. First of all, did you copy and paste the meme I sent you about all junior hockey people know what happened this weekend?
Yes.
Nothing is like junior hockey, like you're going to play 10,000 miles to play your neighbor in Italy.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
Canada and US is like the most junior hockey thing ever.
So yeah, this was the meme that was making the rounds. I'm not going to pull it up on the StreamYard. I'll just put it up on the phone here. But
I haven't seen one, but that's classic.
Yes, the most travel hockey thing ever is traveling 4,000 miles to play your neighbor.
Just
We've
to
all
play your
been there. We've all been there. I got hockey parents that are asking me as a manager, why don't we ever go to Florida for a tournament? I'm like, because if I wanted to play the Raptors or the Golden Bears, we could just schedule an exhibition game here locally. That's why.
So it's funny. Meredith and Brit, we had this weird thing with Meredith and Bridget's teams last year where for girls, we travel all over the place, as you well know. And we played the Buffalo Junior Sabres. Each of them played them like 4 times only in tournaments. We played Buffalo more than we played local teams. I think my wife, if she saw Rochester or Buffalo one more time, was going to pull her hair out. And they were great games. And by the way, none of them actually, I think only once each happened in Rochester or Buffalo.
There you go.
So no, I was more dreading this conversation with the two of you. Because if I had your number yesterday, Tim, I would have texted you, and I texted it to Ovies. I was like, fuck, am I going to have to give credit now to all this junior hockey cartel bullshit? Has it now paid off an entire generation of us being really, really, really good at hockey where we're winning the gold medal in both sexes? Like, wait, what? Do I have to give credit to this junior hockey machine now after I've been dismissing it for the last however many months?
Why are you trying to take money off of Tim's plate?
The answer to your question is, Joe, yes and no. When we're talking about pure youth development, yes, you do.
Okay.
Now, when you're talking about the juniors, the 18 to 20, and some of the pay-to-play juniors, like you have to youth hockey, pure youth hockey. Yeah, you're going to have to. You're going to have to pay some homage to all those adults who eat nothing but brown food on weekends and take their kids all over the place because it's created, a lot of, all these championships.
See, I like to play this little game, and it started when I stopped covering hockey, because I covered hockey up until 2009, like pretty regularly, knew everything, knew a lot about the league, obviously knew a lot about the Canes. Then went into this great desert. I went to a hockey desert. It was actually kind of nice. But when I would come back, I wouldn't do any homework. I know you're not supposed to admit this, but I wouldn't do any homework. I would just go, I'd cover the game, say for AP and some other, and I would just look at who's got skill. And I would be like, oh, and I would look at the number, and then I'd look at the sheet. And I go, oh, and it's usually somebody fairly obvious. Okay, let's be very clear here what I'm talking about. Like, I would go see Toronto, and I would see Toronto in person. Like, holy smokes,
that Matt Sundin guy, he can really move.
The newer guys like Tavares and Marner and some of and Austin Matthews. So I say this as like Joe Giglio hockey knower. It's like a little game I like to play, but I'm watching the game yesterday, and I get it. Start screaming now. I know they don't have McDavid. I know they don't have Celebrini. I get that. But I'm watching the game, and I'm going, there's not that big of a difference between the skill between the U.S. team and the Canadian team, in my opinion. One through, obviously, the top 2 or 3, maybe. But rest of the team, you're looking at them going, hey, my point being, yes, I get how good Connor Hellebuck was yesterday. I totally get all those things. But the skill is pretty similar. This wasn't like the U.S. playing Russia back in 80 where you're like, man, it's going to take literally.
You're hanging out for dear life. Well, and people forget, this is the inverse of the Four Nations Championship. We carried the play in the Four Nations Championship, right? And Bennington made some great saves, and a bad icing didn't allow us to get the change we needed to have Slavin out there against McDavid in that overtime, right? So it is the inverse. But, you're talking about the youth hockey stuff and the development. And, Ryan Whitney really put this one of the best ways after last night from Spit and Chicklets. And he talked about how one of the things that USA Hockey has done, and I want to leave all like the, U.S. hockey players compared to women's soccer and all that political hoopla. I want to put that aside. So basically, USA Hockey has figured out the developmental path to identify the best players and get them to Michigan and Ann Arbor in the U.S. National Development Program. And then college hockey has gotten so much better in terms of development, nutrition, professionalizing. So if you go to Penn State or Michigan, you're getting those resources that their football players have to become a better athlete that you're not actually getting in major junior. It's why Gavin McKenna, even though he's Canadian, came over to play college hockey because he was having better resources to develop to become a better professional. And USA Hockey has figured that out and how that all comes together. And again, the other big winner of this Olympics that people might not know is Robleski, the coach for the U.S. women's team, he actually was the coach in Ann Arbor for 4 years that had Wierenski come through. He had the Hughes brothers come through. Matt Boldy came through. Faber came through. All those guys came through him while he was coach there. So this guy had his fingerprints on both gold medals. So credit. But again, pulling on the same rope, men's and women's.
So this is my curiosity, right? Because the big knock or the usual cliche talking point for soccer as we approach the World Cup, it's, well, if Kobe Bryant had played soccer, if LeBron James had played soccer, ... But the best athletes in the country aren't playing soccer. And I was like, no, we have enough people in this country that through the right development cycles, you should be able to compete. And while I do know there's a little bit more nuanced conversation about how the rest of the world plays soccer and how many countries are actually playing hockey, not to get too political, but my guess is that this tournament might look a little bit differently if, well, I don't know, Russia was participating in the Four Nations tournament or the Olympics, right? You talk about best on best. Well, not all of the best are there. But all that being said, we can agree that U.S. soccer should be better than it is, that U.S. soccer shouldn't be like constantly going through some sort of identity crisis and going through these cycles and things like that. So what is the biggest difference between the hockey development cycle, and as you said, everybody pulling from the same rope on the USA hockey side, to what we're not seeing on the soccer side and why we're having this kind of identity crisis on that sport?
Yeah, I think it's the opposite, right? So number one, if you look at probably the best generation of soccer players that came to the U.S., that Landon Donovan, Tim Howard generation, who did the best, they actually came through. USA Soccer used to have a development program just like the men, and it was housed at IMG Academy. And I got to work with actually a lot of the generation that's here now. Your listeners probably don't know this. I used to be at IMG Academy. And and I actually worked with the team that had Pulisic and his cousin and stuff like that coming through. And so you had that pulling on the same rope that you're trying to feed. So what has happened in USA Soccer, I mean, everyone talks about pay to play, right? Hockey has pay to play too, right? But here's the crazy part about pay to play. If you were to play on NCFC's, even their second team, it costs as much as a Junior Canes team, which is crazy when you consider Junior Canes are still having to pay for ice. I mean,
for those who want to know, even at Jacob's level, my son plays at the single A level. That's like the cheapest entry point when it's all said and done. It's still $5,000 to play. And that is with ice and everything else. And that doesn't include travel and equipment and everything else. When you get to the higher levels, when you start talking AA, AAA, et cetera, the price of the brick is clearly going up. But for Jacob's level, it's $5,000.
But it should sound it should sound crazy though that soccer is costing just as much.
That is insane. Yes. And you have fields. Like the fields are readily available. Well, it's not cutting ice. There's, like I saw somebody from Charlotte, because like the clips of Junior Canes and Raptors teams stopping play to celebrate, right? And I saw some guy saying you guys couldn't reschedule the game so the kids could watch the medal game. I'm like, dude, let me explain something to you. Good luck rescheduling ice time this time of the year.
I'll tell you what happened at our game.
Yeah,
at our game was tough. So we had all the iPads on the bench, and Kelly Roberts, our manager, we had it queued up where as soon as US scored, we told the refs, she played Freebird, and she hit Freebird, and I'm ready to be excited on the bench. Both my assistants are Canadians. I had no one to celebrate with almost. And my daughter's on the ice, and she kind of celebrates with her best friend, who on the way she actually took a roughing penalty, kind of skating in excitement. So, then she detours to the penalty box to celebrate with Bridget. So it was a great moment. But coming back to the soccer stuff, right? There was a book, I think it was probably about 10, 15 years ago, when Freakonomics became really popular. It was Soccernomics that predicted just by sheer volume in the U.S., we should become the soccer power. And it hasn't happened. And here's why. So one, you don't have that development program going to the same part. So background here, I do have some background. As coach prep school soccer. Mark Hubbard at NC State is a friend of mine. One of my best friends in the world, a guy by the name of James Proctor, director of his soccer academy. And we were texting about this morning up in Massachusetts. And what you don't have is pulling on the same rope. So you have all these MLS academies that they've created, which are meant to mimic your European soccer academies. But they're actually all doing different things, and they're still pay to play at the lower ages of it. And the other thing is this country is so broad that if you don't have an MLS academy near you, you probably don't have an elite academy near you, where you could be in Arkansas and still end up at a USA Hockey regional district camp to get identified to pull up into the higher regions, right? It's why you have Austin Matthews was identified at a young age out of Arizona to be at the U.S. National Development Camp. It's why you have Shane Gossesbear identified at a young age coming out of Florida to get to those levels of things. Soccer is missing some spots. It's patchy right now, and all those MLS academies are not pulling on the same rope. In fact, I would guarantee if you really got some of them under the light in a room, they'd be more than happy if they just developed their players enough to sell them at a great transfer price to a team in Europe to make some money off that player, right? USA Hockey isn't operating that way. And USA Soccer still hasn't figured out how the college soccer landscape happens in their developmental process for their elite players. I would argue that they would say that it doesn't anymore. Where college sports is so big in the U.S., to ignore that power is idiocy to me. I mean, you look at what happened at Wake Med in November with those crowds and stuff like that. You're not getting that for an MLS Next Cup for a team and the excitement behind that and the potential money and dollars behind that. So soccer hasn't figured out how to harness all those things yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like, obviously we're being reductive here, but it's a productive conversation. I think it is. Yes. I think soccer, you have this college element where you're right. Hockey has embraced college to the point where they even have the draft right in hockey. Mm-hmm. They have the only right draft system in hockey. You want to stay? Cool. The team still retains your rights and avoids a lot of the NBA and college headache stuff with basketball that we have. The second part of that, I think, is I really do think this is a skill issue. We don't develop skilled players in soccer, or enough of them. When I watch the U.S. and international soccer, they have maybe one guy where you're like, oh, okay, they control the ball, they have a good touch, they have this, they have that. We're mostly goalkeepers have been able to play in the Premier League. Randomly, we'll have a midfielder, but mostly we'll have a bigger defender, right? That's going to have the ultimate success in the Premier League or internationally. Part, yeah. I mean, so to your point, Tim, I watched Washington win the national title in soccer, beating NC State. And literally, I did the same thing I did with the hockey games. I'm like, who's this number 10? Because every time he touched the puck, every time he touched the ball against NC State, something good happened. Right. Yeah. And you could the skill just jumped off of the page. And there was, even NC State's best players, they didn't have that kind of control and mastery of the skills the way that kid had. So, I thought it was interesting just watching these games because you realize, we're not close in soccer, but obviously in hockey, it's different.
Yeah, and here's the thing about hockey, too. So I want to go back to Wroblewski, the coach I was talking about. Yeah. And this is going to get in the weeds a little bit, right? So you look at, he was a great skill coach, and particularly coaching offense and zone entries and stuff like that. So the same concepts he was working on with the Zegrises and the Boldies and stuff like that. I have access to all of those things. So I'm imparting that same stuff in my U12 practice on a little bit different level. I don't know if we'll be doing the Boldy self flip this week, but I can guarantee you some of my girls are going to be trying it.
Tim, I better see you in Garner tonight. You got practicing Garner tonight, right? I better see you working on that.
We're going to practice that tonight. But the point is, I have access to that, and I have the ability to incorporate those principles into our practices, and we do. And when I was coaching soccer, I didn't feel that trickle down as much. I felt the disparate clubs and academies, they're doing their own thing. They're doing this. And so there wasn't that pulling on the same rope that developed these skills that you're talking about that have led to championships on the world stage. Now, we do need to be intellectually honest. There are more countries competing for it in soccer than there are in hockey. And that's sheer volume.
That's what I said at the jump. It's like, they're not apples to apples here in terms of the amount of countries that are participating in these events. Like, we have to be real about that. Yeah. But we can also be honest about why is it you should be more competitive. I think everybody can agree with that. You should be more competitive in that regard, and that's the case. But that's a soccer conversation we could probably have in the summer as we get ready for the World Cup and everything else. What I'm more curious about, it ties back to a conversation that we had about NIL and how we're so focused on college basketball and the impact of NIL with college basketball and how some basketball coaches are losing their minds over this kind of stuff, right? Bill Self has to deal with Darren Peterson. Mick Cronin's losing his mind like every other week and all that kind of stuff. We know what the NIL portal impacts are on football. But the one thing that you told us was it, I guess, last summer with all these changes, the greatest impact might be felt in college for hockey.
Yeah. And I think, and what you're going, yes. And I think because of that, you're going to see these elite players leave major juniors to come and play and develop in the U.S. college hockey system. Right? I mean, you have a choice, right? You can go Mick Cronin, or you could, or you could just leave it, or you can go Will Wade, right? You can embrace it, right?
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. It may get some stuff coalesced around it. It may get some changes around it, but it's not going anywhere as a whole. So embrace it, incorporate it, figure out how it is your developmental advantage. You are a college soccer program. If you have some wealthy alum that loves soccer, you might be able to now go out and get a couple players and who were going to go to Bayern Munich's youth program or their U20 program. You might be able to grab that kid now.
So I'm going to play these two clips, and it's going to lead us to a larger conversation about where we're going to go next. Like, this is the one that went viral. It got picked up by Bar Down and Barstool and all that.
Yeah, the irony is that was on the rink next to us. We were on the other side at the same time.
Oh, really? So this is over at the factory. This is the Raptors taking on the Junior Canes. I forgot what level was this. Do you know?
I think that was U12. I think it was U11. That was U11.
Okay,
yeah, so U11.
So anyway, I'm going to play the audio here so y'all can watch it. That was happening at a face-off, so they were able to kind of stop play there and whatnot. And then I don't think Heidi's going to mind if I play this clip. This is Silas's team, the 12U Black team. Jacob plays with Silas's older brother on the 14U Red squad, and they were up at St. James, and they were in the middle of play when the play-by-play announcer realizes, all right, the U.S. won. I don't know who scored the game winner. They literally stopped play in the middle of this exhibition game so they can kind of get hype and celebrate and stuff like that. I play these clips, and you shared your version of how this all kind of played out. It's kind of a two-pronged question. There's the men's side, and then there's the women's side, right? So for the men to do this for the first time in 46 years, and as I mentioned earlier, everything, the universe lines up sometimes, right? 46 years to the day. We can stop trotting out the 1980 team like we do with the Dolphins every time there's an undefeated team that goes down.
That's one of the things I'm happiest about, by the way.
Right? This is classic. Do we have to talk about the 1983 NC State championship team again? Do we have to? We got to trot those guys out again? So there's that. So now USA Hockey has a new foundational moment for people. That's not ancient CCTV tape delayed history. I'm not diminishing the Miracle on Ice. What I'm getting at is it was time for something new after 46 years. You also have the Gaudreau angle to all of this. And how everybody was very clearly emotional about that and how close they were with the family and the family being there. So you get moments like that. I got to imagine that this is yet another kind of foundational piece for the continued growth of the youth game. And then on top of that, you have the women, which have continued to run this thing on the international stage. And I know you're closely tied to this because your daughters play and you coach. So
I coached two women on the U.S. national team at a Women's USA development camp way back in 2008. So
there you go. So I got to imagine that these things only feed more into these foundational pieces. I think the women have been ahead in that regard. And I got to imagine that on the women's side, on the girls' side, there's just been even more of an explosion of participation, right?
Yeah. We are growing at a faster participation rate than Canada on the women's side in the last 10 years by about a 33% growth rate to a 27. So, the U.S. versus Canada thing, the power has shifted. if in the last 10 years on the women's side. If you look at the world championships won, stuff like that, it's because we've actually closed the gap in the participation rate. I think in the men, we still haven't closed that gap in the participation rate, but Giulio, you pointed out how close it is. What we've gotten are these, for all those haters of the Sunbelt hockey expansion, without Gary Bettman, there's no Austin Matthews, right? And those fringes, those bringing those players in from there, those margins are so thin. By bringing in those new areas, that's actually how the men have been able to make that last little push. And then they identify the Austin Matthews and get him to Ann Arbor.
Right. And I get why the NHL doesn't want these best on best Olympics, because you got to shut down the sport. And I know I've seen the studies that it doesn't translate into ratings for NHL regular season games. But to me, you're kind of missing the point. There's obviously the show. You got to give people the show. This is what draws people in. And then what we're just illustrating is that if it doesn't necessarily translate in terms of television ratings, but you might get somebody who didn't consider playing youth hockey to consider it. And that's how you get to this point.
Yeah, and I think now, though, right, anything else, and Joe, you and I have talked about this, right? We had our own moment with Frozen Finley, right?
Yes.
And how do you capitalize on that, right? We were able to capitalize that in a bunch of different ways at NC State. What USA Hockey has to make sure is that they capitalize on this and they do not let this moment live in a vacuum. And if they do, they're going to regret that. The problem that USA Hockey has is there's not enough ice. How do they get more people on ice? How do you get all those little kids that were up at 8 o'clock in the morning that say, this is pretty cool, I want to be the next Jack Hughes? How do you get that kid onto the ice? Because I'll give you an example. Right now in Raleigh, we're maxed out on ice.
Yes.
If you look at, the average registered USA Hockey players per sheet in Massachusetts, New York, Minnesota, it's about 250. If you look at the Nashville, the Tennessee markets, the Florida markets, Texas, North Carolina, we're around 800, right? That's a problem. And we're trying to work on that problem, all of us in the hockey community in Raleigh, but until you address that, if you don't seize on that opportunity, then this moment's going to will just be in a vacuum.
Yeah, I mean, you can go any number of different examples. Like not everything does this, right? And so you think of I've been thinking of this Bold Eagle, as you mentioned. Like everyone's going to go to practice and try to do that. That was an insane goal. And
what about Keller undressing the defenseman going through too in the women's game? Right. Yeah. And that's a high skill play.
Yeah. So you're going to try all these things. It reminded me, Michael Owen for England scored this goal against Argentina that literally inspired an entire generation of English soccer players. That's not even the bend it like Beckham stuff in the way that he inspired an entire generation. I think to your point, Joe, about did it translate to ticket sales for the Premier League? Probably not. You're inspiring another generation. And I think those type of goals, those type of moments, that's how you can kind of get yourself a chance to build off of those things. As we could sit here and say 1980 was the most unbelievable moment, but obviously nothing ever really came of it in terms of development for U.S. hockey and popularity for U.S. hockey in the NHL, and kind of translating because really those players didn't become really good players in the NHL. I think that's where maybe there's a difference here. I think you'll see a lot of these players, like Eichel in particular. I obviously have a little bit of a sweet spot for Vegas and my Vegas ticket and this and that and the other thing, but
we've heard.
So, but that's a two-way player that you're sitting here going, well, how do you counterattack a Connor McDavid? Well, you got to have somebody like that who could be on the ice with him. Yeah.
Yeah. And Austin Matthews is a 200-foot player. Yeah.
He is. And now that dynamic, like him going back to Toronto and them I feel so bad. Those are the two people I actually feel bad for. Or McDavid. I do feel bad for McDavid.
It's like, do I got to see Tkachuk in a critical situation again?
I feel bad for McDavid, and I do feel bad for Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Because yes, he won, but now he's going back to Toronto where they're mad at him because hey, dude, why don't you do this in the playoffs for us? So there's a little bit of that too. So
the rate they're going, there aren't going to be playoffs, so he won't have that feeling.
I also feel bad for Seth Jarvis because he's like, here I am decked out in red, and we're getting goalied.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At least it wasn't a Russian goal.
There is that. At least there was that. So,
when Seth is young enough, he's going to be back, right? He
I
might
know.
be back a couple more times. He was a fringe player making that team this time around, and that's no slight at
no.
Do you want to talk about what Canada's real problem was here?
next time around. I think he'll be comfortably in that lineup.
What was Canada's real problem?
Okay. You and I have talked about this before. When people decide they're going to wear black, Anakin Skywalker shows up in the was it the third episode?
Although low key,
and he was like, hey guys, when you put the fucking black on, guess what happens? You turn into the bad guy, right?
Nah.
Khaleesi in season whatever it was, she showed up in black back from the dragon. I'm like, there's a foreshadow here. Like, Canada, why would you put your maple leaf as a black maple leaf?
Low key though, I kind of want the Canes to rip that off.
I don't know. I thought it was a good look. Hey, look, our most successful jersey of all time for NC State as our Black Stadium Series jersey, and we won 7-3 that night. Yeah. So, a little pushback there.
No, wait a second. Though. Wait a second. The whole you got Giglio uniform rules here. When Oregon can do whatever they want. The IcePack, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
When you fucking show up in the Olympics or the World Cup, hey man. They got to be
you're the Yankees, you're Notre Dame.
They got to be your color. You know what I mean? Like, it drives me crazy. Like when England shows up in these weird uniforms, and I'm like, you're not winning because you're not wearing your regular uniforms. Damn it!
Or if you're U.S.
Netherlands needs to be orange in soccer. All right, I hear you.
Could the U.S. wear black when Slovakia is on the ice? Because I was confused as hell.
That was terrible.
Confused as hell that game.
That was terrible.
It was awful in that situation. Anyway, Tim, hey man, we appreciate the hockey talk.
We solve the world's problems. I like
we
it.
always
Soccer
do.
people should just call us. We'll help them.
Call up Tim. He'll help you out. He's got ideas. Hey, so pack season's over? Is it a wrap? What do we got here?
We have our conference playoffs this weekend.
Okay.
We go up to Delaware and we play University of Delaware on Friday, and our great conference that stretches from Alabama to Syracuse, although Bama didn't make the postseason tournament. We are the 2 seed out of the South, so we will see how that goes. And I'm pretty confident. We played Delaware earlier in this season and we split with them. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's a good matchup for us. And then it reseeds, and who knows what happens from there.
I figured I wanted you on today rather than trying to squeeze in a 5-minute conversation while you're putting on gear before heading out to the ice later today at IcePlex. So
that's right. We'll see. We'll see you at 4.
I'll see you at 4:00. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See you guys.
Yeah, shout out to Roback. No red, white, and blue, but they have a lot of red, white, and blue stuff on Roback right now. If you're in the mode right now, USA, they got all that stuff, and it's very versatile for international competitions and of course the 4th of July. Shout out to 250. So head on over to roback.com where you can save 20% off at roback.com. You get hoodies. They got the new it's almost like an Oxford shirt button down. One is on the way. I'm very excited about these button-down shirts that they just released. So be on the lookout for that. They got new patterns all the time. And they're dropping some new performance gear as well. So head on over to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. They just dropped new collegiate stuff. You got the Brickyard Polo. You got new UNC stuff as well. All of that is at roback.com. And you need a place to to put all these polos and pants and everything else. you might need a new closet. You might need a new house for all the Roback you buy. My Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You might have some questions about the current state of the market. Maybe you see a bunch of empty lots. Is there a builder incentive? Maybe you've seen a house sitting on the market for a long time from a new builder. What does that mean? They got the answers, but you got to contact them today. So head on over to myhtr.com. That's myhtr.com. You've got that house. You want to enjoy the backyard. Well, the best way to do it is with our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Obviously, take care of the inside of your house with Pest Authority. Things like moisture barriers and whatnot can help you out. But the outside of your house is important too if you want to enjoy it. You didn't spend all this money on an outside patio and an outdoor kitchen to not use it, right? Like, oh, the mosquitoes are bad. Well, here's what you do. You contact our friends at bugsbite.com right now and start thinking about treatments and things like misting systems to keep all those insects away. So head on over to bugsbite.com. And of course, our friend Chris Brassfield, brassfieldaccounting.com. Black Maniscalco should be back from break. We'll catch up with him this week as the Canes are back
Vegas
in action.
run is over.
We'll see how that went for him.
Thursday, we're back on the ice.
And you know what? When it comes to your financial needs, your taxes, you can't bank on winning big in Vegas. Or maybe you did win big in Vegas. What does that mean for my taxes? Well, Chris Brassfield can help you out with that. BrassfieldAccounting.com. We spent a lot of time talking about being a fractional CFO, handling your small to medium-sized business needs, especially if you deal in the world of government grants. But it's tax time. Getting everything you need? Even on a personal level, OG listeners, he'll do your personal taxes. All you got to do is contact brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com.
You going to go on Thursday?
To
play Tampa. Might be a view bar experience. Might require me drinking, though.
Yeah, James he's got his last practice of the season that day.
Okay.
I might try to sneak over there after practice.
I'm AP on Saturday, but I think I'm going to be there on Thursday.
Might be able to do that. Maybe you'll see me there to finally check out the view bar experience because I could just walk up there with my media pass, right?
I think so.
Nobody's going to look at me funny?
I don't know. I don't know the rules yet.
All right. It's not a ticketed space.
Not yet.
You know Dundon's going to make that a ticketed space.
Yeah, it has to.
It will happen at some point.
Although, how do you keep people from walking behind it?
It's weird. We're sure they'll find a way.
Okay.
BrassfieldAccounting.com. All right, let's go back to the OG Sports Phone. We did get a lot of calls from Duke fans after the win over Michigan. Let's go to a 919.
What a win for Shire and the boys there. What a way to respond to the Carolina and Texas Tech losses, kind of blowing it down the lead towards the end. They held it together. Cam Boozer showed why he's the best player in the country. And I thought Isaiah Evans one-ups Dennis Smith Jr. I thought they weren't going to count the dunk, but apparently they just took it away from him. One day we'll get our revenge for that. But until then, what a win by the Duke boys. Have a great show.
You already have your revenge. It didn't count.
It does not count. It's the greatest dunk to never
a dunk
happen.
that didn't count in a game, in a win.
It did not count. But what happened to Duke that year when Dennis Smith Jr. went to Cameron and
17? They won that in Brooklyn. They won the title.
That's right.
But remember, they played too many games in too many days. They got to South Carolina, played South Carolina in Greenville.
That's right.
Where they will be starting their journey this year.
Yes.
And lost to Frank Martin's crew, which Frank Martin in South Carolina ended up going to the Final Four.
All right, let's go. I think this is a 224, a 6-1. I don't know. Let's see. What do we got here?
Hey, Joes. This is JD, one of your Duke fans that lives out in eastern North Carolina. Wanted to call in. It is like 11:30 on Saturday night. Just been sipping on some bourbon, enjoying that Duke win over Elliott Cadeau and the Michigan Wolverines. Sorry, Tar Heels. You don't get that Tar Heel for life in this one. Just wanted to say, just enjoying this. But really just wanted to call in because my dad and I try to make an annual trip over to Duke for a lacrosse game. Grew up playing lacrosse, and so made that over there today. And outside of just having a good time with my dad and getting to enjoy Duke winning at lacrosse and then winning over Michigan tonight, we made it to both Longleaf Swine and two Roosters, all because of you guys. So really just wanted to call both to celebrate Duke, because not a lot of people call in to celebrate Duke, but also wanted to call in to celebrate the fact that you guys are awesome, and promoting both Longleaf and two Roosters is an awesome thing. Like I said, I'm a Duke guy, but definitely a Wolfpack sympathizer, and looking forward to that game here in a week and a half. So love what you do. And just wanted to call in and say, go Duke, go to hell Carolina, and look forward to the show on Monday. See you guys.
Do we send the renewal for 2027 to Jared now?
No.
Just do it now? Okay. Oh, one quick thing about Longleaf. I don't think I'm giving away the game too much. I saw it floating around, but Longleaf coming to Carborough.
Oh. So, expanding their empire.
Expanding the empire. So Longleaf will be out in Carborough, which, as I joked with Adam when I saw him on Friday night. So OG Light's going to have a beachhead in Carborough, huh? Perfect. Let's take one more. 540.
Hey guys, it's Ben from Bull City Coordinators calling in just to say that Duke beating Michigan, exciting, fantastic, great game, tense all the way through. Blue Devils played it tight, saw some improvement from Shire on the way he handled late game situations, not just going 1-4 clear out with Boozer. There was a lot more movement from other guys in those end game sets. But also, as great as that was, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this morning I did beat the original Legend of Zelda game on the Switch. Took it out finally. It was probably 40-some-odd years or 30-some-odd years in the making. Beat the game, and now Ovies calling with a question. I need to know what Zelda game to play next. Not a fan of Link. Did not like the second game at all growing up. And I figured of the two of you, Ovies, you probably would be a little more, knowledgeable about which Zelda game would be best on the Switch. So any recommendations would be appreciated. Go Duke. Let's close it out strong, win the ACC, and win the chip. Keep up the good work, guys.
Okay. Are you checked out, Joe? This is official checkout. You're just going to be bounced here.
Zelda.
What's the last Zelda game you played?
I never played any Zelda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is, I will go ahead and I will answer the question by answering my own questions because clearly he was playing the original NES version of Zelda is what I'm assuming here on the Switch. If you have not played Breath of the Wild, which is what this is the name of a real game. It's called Breath of the Wild.
Is this having anything to do with connecting your Discord account?
Well, that's the second game. So anyway, Breath of the Wild, which launched with the original Switch. If you have not played that game yet, I highly recommend that you do. It's much better than Tears of the Kingdom, which I thought was too much grinding. All right. So Breath of the Wild is one of the greatest games I've ever played. If you're talking classic Zeldas, like not the current generation ones, then you got to play Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo. That to me is one of the greatest Zelda games ever made. It's way better than Ocarina of Time, which I think is highly overrated and it hasn't held up over time. And then low key, I think it's available now, or it will be available for the Switch through the Classic Games Collection. Wind Waker with the cell shaded graphics and sailing around to various islands is like proto Breath of the Wild with like the free roaming stuff. I ride for Wind Waker. To me, that's one of the best Zelda games ever. I ride for Wind Waker. So Link to the Past, Wind Waker, that's where you go. If you have not done Breath of the Wild yet, and we'll close on that because we've officially lost Giglio. We will see y'all with a little Duke, with a little Carolina, Louisville. Look ahead to NC State and Virginia as well. We'll see you then.